Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 7 deals with a little bit of current times, but also in normal times, we run the risk of inflation. We hear the phrase often today, in these uncertain times. We have the federal government sending stimulus checks to families, to businesses. We have CARES Act 1 money coming into Idaho, CARES Act 2 money coming into Idaho, and I heard this morning there might even be a CARES Act 3. Money is flowing out of the federal government like crazy. It's coming into the states. It's not money that's coming from taxpayers. It's either borrowed or worse, funded by the Federal Reserve, creating new money to handle that kind of a debt. As an economist, I would predict future inflation coming from all this. With supply chains disrupted and more money flowing around, chasing fewer goods, there can be nothing happen but inflation in the future. Some states are recognizing this and looking at their assets and how they're being held. Any assets that are held that are denominated in dollars but with fixed rates of return will suffer from the inflation that is sure to come and devaluing those assets. Short-term debt instruments, short-term savings accounts themselves, U.S. Treasury notes, U.S. Treasury bills are how a lot of states hold their assets, including Idaho. Idaho has about $7 billion in idle monies held in 3 different accounts, and our statutes limit our holdings to those short-term debt instruments, savings accounts, and U.S. Treasury bills and Treasury notes. Other states are trying to protect themselves against inflation risk. The state of Texas, the state of South Carolina, and the state of Ohio have all enacted legislation to allow their states to hold some or all of their, if they wanted to, their assets in precious metals. House Bill 7 is one of those bills that says Idaho should be able to protect our Idaho citizens' assets, the idle monies held in Idaho state accounts, from this inflation risk by holding it in precious metals. It also goes further and states exactly how that needs to be held in a secure vault to current industry standards. In the last few years, our state has done relatively well. The state treasurer reported last year that we got a 1.78% return on our investments. But with inflation at 1.4% for the year, we got a 0.38% return. And I do want to point out that that is good compared to what other states have experienced. A good experience in this environment is 0.38% real rate of return. Gold and silver offer higher rates of return, and the good part about those is that if prices go up, the value of those assets go up, protecting those assets, protecting those investments against inflation risk. And so, for example, gold last year had a rate of return of about 15%. Taking out inflation, you're looking at about 14% real rate of return. Now, that was an extraordinary year. Typically, it's averaging closer to 5% a year, and if we had more of our assets in gold, we would have a higher rate of return on our idle monies. Much better than just keeping it in a bank account, and also very secure. House Bill 7 gives the treasurer the option, but not the mandate, to shift some of the state assets into gold or silver and therefore protect our assets against inflation risk. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further debate? Hearing none, then the debate is closed. The question before us is, shall House Bill number 7 pass the House? The clerk will unlock the machine and the members will record their votes. Has every member voted? Does any member wish to change his vote? The clerk will lock the machine and record the vote. The vote count shows 51 in favor with 19 against. House Bill number 7 has passed the House and will be transmitted to the Senate.